So in this video, I want to give you the one hypnotic line, hypnotic suggestion, therapeutic suggestion that'll hypnotize everybody, but also give your clients a rapidly quick breakthrough every single time, regardless of the problem. Now, in order to understand this, I'm going to give you my definition of hypnosis and my definition of therapy, just so you guys can follow along. I truly believe hypnosis and therapy is just thinking. If a client can think about the problem, they can be hypnotized. And I'm not just going to throw this out, I'll give you some examples of what I mean so you understand this. If a client can think about their problem, they can also be therapized. The problem can be broken down into something more positive. What I don't think it is if a client can relax, they can be hypnotized. If a client can visualize, they can have therapy. If a client can float above their timeline in a backwards regression, they can be therapized and hypnotized at the same time. I don't believe it's that at all, okay? And here's why I think this, and this is why I think you should adopt this thinking, because it'll make this one line I'm going to give you so freaking powerful, you'll never have to drill language patterns or anything ever again. All right? Here's the line, guys, the therapeutic line. What's the problem? Now, I've talked about this on the videos before. Let me break this down of why it's so important. Client sits down in front of you. Instead of worrying about the hypnosis, the digestibility test, the pre-chart, the priming, this is why we dive straight into the therapy. Regardless of a client's problem, guys, smoking, anxiety, really doesn't matter who they are, what they are, doesn't matter, guys. I always start with, what's the problem? You can also say, what do you want to work on? Doesn't matter what the line is. What I'm talking about is the context of this line, okay? And from this, believe it or not, hypnosis becomes the byproduct of what I call an internal therapeutic search. Now, Scott, what the hell are you talking about? Here's what I mean, guys. Ask a client, what's the problem? And then we're going to wait for a response. Now, in order to wait for that response, where does a client have to go internally to find the answer or the words to answer your question? The unconscious mind, because where were those words before they needed it? Where was that thinking before they needed it? Where was the context of where they are before they needed it based on the question, what's the problem? So in other words, I ask the client, what's the problem? Where do they have to go? I'm doing like a suggestion here with my hand that you guys can't see because the camera's not on, but they have to go backwards. They have to go back into their mind. That's why we explain it through our ACH training. So we all know, where does trance exist? Unconscious mind or subconscious, superconscious. Doesn't matter what it is, all the same thing, guys. Don't get lost in the semantics. Where does a client have to go when you ask them that problem? Into the unconscious mind. Where does trance exist? The unconscious mind. Let me repeat that. Where does a client have to go in order to find those words or that answer? The unconscious mind. What exists in the unconscious mind? Hypnosis, trance, all of those things we're trying to put our client into. So what am I trying to tell you guys? That if I start the therapy first, I'm actually asking a therapeutic question because I need to know what's the real problem. I need to find this root cause of this unconscious payoff. And that's by finding the answer, they also go into hypnosis. Talk about killing two birds with one stone, guys. Okay, this is why we do the therapy first, and the hypnosis becomes a byproduct of an internal therapeutic search. So if my client has to go into the unconscious mind, they find the words and they do what? Like I said, they enter, they find the words. That's step one. Step two, they exit the unconscious mind and speak those words. But what's important is what comes with those words. If they've been in the unconscious mind, even for just a couple of seconds, they will bring out what are called unconscious moments. They'll bring trance out with them. So they enter the unconscious mind to find the words, then they exit and speak those words. We ask another question about the answer they gave us that is full of unconscious moments in some case, or full of this trance element because they've been in the place. It's like going into the lake and not expecting to come out feeling wet, okay? So they've gone in the unconscious mind, they bring out a small amount of trance with them, and we keep repeating that cycle. And guys, we all know this as a fractionation, okay? A fractionation, you go into trance, you come out, in, out. But what we're doing is we're not doing a hypnotic fractionation where it's like relax, then come out, relax, come out. We're doing the therapy. And what happens over time of a client entering the unconscious mind and coming out, giving the answer, it's almost like there's a lagging point. They get more tired, quote unquote. They might get more relaxed. They might feel more tranced out. The mind becomes exhausted from so much movement. And essentially at one point they'll go into the unconscious mind and they won't come out. Thus the therapeutic interaction is now starting to bubble. We call it like putting the cake in the oven. It's starting to cook. All right. So if you want one line that'll not only help your clients, or should be the only place to start for a therapeutic breakthrough, but put them into a very deep, quote unquote, unconscious trance that the unconscious mind needs for them. It'll give it the right depth, the right adjustments, the right context. It'll do all the work for you. Guys, always start with what's the problem. It's not how quickly can I hypnotize you, how relaxed can I get you. Forget about all that stuff. I'm not interested in the hypnosis. Clients don't come to you for hypnosis. They come to you for therapy. So as long as you agree with me or just understand that the way I believe it is hypnosis is just thinking, but again, that's just my opinion. You can play around with this. It just makes the whole context of therapy really simple. As long as a client can think about that problem, they can be hypnotized based on what I said. They enter the unconscious mind, find the words to answer your question. We ask, or they exit and speak those words. We ask another question about the words they gave us, where those words were in the unconscious mind. Thus, I'm asking a question about trance. I'm asking a question about the unconscious moment they're giving me, which is the answer to the problem they have. Thus, we know this as fractionation, which is a very powerful tool for therapists, but we're doing this conversationally, guys. All right. So this will hypnotize everybody as long as they can think. Okay, guys, have some fun with this. See you on the next video.